Hey y'all! So today we're going to be talking about how I did the 90s version Rogue, which is the cartoon or the Jim Lee version. And I'm going to be talking about how I made it and how spandex really isn't that scary. So let's just get right down to it. This spandex that I used for this costume was called regular spandex on spandexworld.com, which I recommend because they have great prices. This is regular spandex. The only problem with regular spandex is, well, there's a couple problems, not the only problem, is it's a two-way stretch. Basically, a two-way stretch is it slightly stretched one way and it really stretched the other way. That's a two-way stretch. So that right there is already an issue because it's a spandex bodysuit and it needs to fit snugly, so therefore you have to make it smaller so it stretches. Another problem is, like, this is a matte color, you know, and it still has like a shiny glimmer to it, which was really, not uniform-esque. It was very, it's shiny. And the fabric itself doesn't, it slides around a lot, so when you're trying to sew it, it slides and you get these really awkward, I was putting a new zipper on and it was already doing awkward folds right there, if you can see that. So I have to seam rip that and try it again. So overall though, it came out okay. I used a pattern for this called Quick Sew, and this is a bodysuit. Let's see if it has a number. The pattern is 3052, and it's extra small to extra large. So because spandex, you can go either or. So this is a really awesome pattern, Quick Sew. You can kind of see the picture there. I have another Quick Sew pattern. This one's really good for lots of other things. We need the back of that. Alright, Quick Sew is a really awesome and obviously easy pattern. It says Quick Sew on there, so it must be quick. The Rogue has a seam up the front, which is really good for new people to spandex because this costume is so easy to put together. Rogue was my first time with spandex, and she was extremely easy. There was some defects because it's spandex, and it was my first time, but she was really easy to put together in that sense. And you get over the seam in the front. When you're picking out a spandex and you want to make a bodysuit, you need to have a pattern, and the pattern needs to tell you. It needs to have these little instructions there. I don't know if you can see that or if it flips it around or whatnot. So basically the instructions is telling you that you need 4 inches of a fabric, and so this is your 4 inches, and you just stretch it out here. And if it's that stretched, or here, and if it's that stretchy enough, then you can use this this stretch fabric for your bodysuit. So the two-way works. It works fine. There is a little bit of a stretch this way, but it's not enough to if you're really afraid that oh, this is going to be too tight or whatever, it only gives one way. So if you're worried about that, you do not want to use a two-way. So that's kind of the gist of the actual bodysuit-ness, because the original bodysuit is for one color. You can see that one color, whereas the Rogue has this very nicely placed yellow going down the front and the back, and it's all one thing. And for that, I actually went to gosh, I was looking around and I wasn't sure what to do because that can be really confusing. And there was one person who actually, she was able to alter the pattern with the spandex, and I was like, okay, well, I can read patterns, but I'm not that good. And I found she was going by Super Tuna Cosplay, and she currently changed her name to Super Bunny Cosplay, I believe, and she does amazing superhero bodysuits. So if you want to look her up, I am going to put the link for her somewhere below. Yes. Alright, so you can go watch, find her and stuff. She does amazing stuff. So basically what you do is, oh, and I have pictures, progress pictures of making this, so I'm going to insert that in the video. What you do is I made my green bodysuit first. The green was all put together, and I tried it on and it fit fine. Then I took, because I didn't have anything else, and you know, I'm one of those people that's like, oh, that's laying around, I'll use it. I took white eyeliner and I traced where I thought the yellow should start on here, and I just did it on my front, and then back I kind of winged it from there, because it was kind of awkward asking people, hey, could you draw my butt for me? So what it was is I was able to trace where I wanted the white to go, or the yellow to go, with the white eyeliner, and then when I flipped it around in the back, I was like, that doesn't look right, and I could take it in and I could eye it because I knew what the front looked like, so I could just eye over the green with the back, and then I was able to do that. Then the scary part is actually cutting the costume apart again. That's like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this right, you know, have I got enough Spandex to start over again? So you cut out your green along your line, then you have to deconstruct, which means you have to seam rip the green all out of here, and so it's like 4 different pieces that you have to make copies of and remember which one goes where and putting them back together. So it can get overly complicated and you can make it scarier than it sounds. It's not that bad, it's just you have to remember what goes where. So what's front and what's back, because I made the back, you know how the back has a certain angle where the butt is compared to your crotch, you know, so you wanted to make sure the right pieces go where when you were sewing everything back together. You have to keep track of that. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions, you can send comments. I think it's easier typing it out than trying to explain everything. Once you got all that done, I used it was an iron-on for the black parts, but it frayed, so I'm going to figure out something else before I don't think I'd recommend this, the iron-on, because it did keep the shape that I wanted, but it's getting all frayed at the end. That is the regular spandex. It wasn't exact to the green that the original design had. It wasn't. The cartoon is darker, and so is I think it's Jim Lee's design. This, if I can grab it. Oh, it fell off the hanger. Great. Okay. This is my new Rogue bodysuit that I'm currently working on. So it is not done. So I can kind of give you an idea of what I've been doing different. Okay. So as you can see, the first big thing is it doesn't have a front seam. The colors are different. It's actually dark green. Like I wanted. This is a milli, I think that's how I say, a milli spandex, which is awesome. It's gorgeous, and you can already tell that it looks so much more. That's what I'm looking for. I want to say it doesn't look as cartoonesque, except for the fact that I'm trying to look like a cartoon, so it doesn't really work. It just looks cleaner, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Milli skin is nice because it doesn't slide around like the regular spandex does when you are sewing it and cutting it out. So it stays pretty together, which is nice, because you'll have a problem if you use regular spandex where it's really slick and it slides around and you get these weird. I've had to seam rip so much with regular spandex. It's ridiculous. Another thing is that something I didn't mention about the regular spandex is because of this weird texture and shimmer going on, it feels weird rubbing on the skin. This is extremely smooth and doesn't feel like it would irritate your skin when you're wearing it, which is really nice because when you go to a convention and you wear your costume for 8 hours or longer, you know, you're like, my skin is feeling a little awkward right now because this keeps rubbing on my skin. And this one won't do that. I can't tell you if it's warmer or not than the regular because I have yet to actually wear this out anywhere, but it has been highly recommended by a lot of different sources, so I'm excited to get this one done and you know, test it out, you know, and I think it's just gonna look a lot better. So if you're wondering, there is no seam in the front, but I did use the same pattern. I altered it slightly, which was kind of awkward to do because, you know, you're not supposed to stretch spandex when you're cutting it out or you're sewing or anything because then you get these ripples, which you don't want. So figuring it out is just all up to you. I can't really explain what I did because it was one of those moments where it was like, aha, I don't know how I just did that, but it worked. So I was able to like manipulate the pattern and the fabric just right so I didn't get a seam in the front. I still have the seam in the back because I couldn't do it both ways, and I needed to put a zipper somewhere so I could, you know, get into the costume. That would be nice. So this time I'm being smart and I'm putting a zipper in the back. Yay! So it's gonna look a lot cleaner all around, and I'm hoping that it will photograph a lot better. This green is so bright compared to this green. It didn't look like Rogue, and I just was really like, ugh, you know. Alright, so that's like how I made the bodysuits. You know, like that's basically it. So it was pretty easy. The only challenging part was the regular spandex. I like to slide around a lot, but spandex isn't scary. You just gotta be willing to try it, and then once you get the hang of it, it just gets easier and easier. So the Millie has been a lot easier than the regular, just because I have costumes under my belt. Like Rogue was my first beginning of, or the end of last year, and I've worked with lots of spandex since then. So it's not scary anymore. So I recommend trying it. Cosplays that I was like, oh, I'll never do her. She's my favorite character since childhood. I'll never do her. And one day I was like, hey, this is a cool site. I'm gonna get spandex. Hey, I'm just gonna make it. And it just like, it didn't occur to me that I was doing my favorite childhood character and it wasn't a big deal. And like, I hadn't planned it. I was just gonna go for it. And it just started happening. I was like, wow, I'm really doing it. So if you have some sewing experience, I would try it. You know, go for your favorite costume hero. You know, all you could do is try. You know, it was such a good experience to make my favorite costume character ever, and she has opened up the floodgates to all these other characters that I never thought I could touch. So go for it. Go for your favorite costume. Just do it.